Hey, how you guys doing? Episode number 2. Welcome to my office. If you've ever seen me go live or something like that before, this is my office inside my house. It's a great little place. I've got some stuff around here. I've got some model cars and stuff from back in the early days from doing European car shows. I also have all the little things that get given to me all the time from different people. You know, I got some stuff from AG here and Car Show Broke Bucket, and last time I saw Mark, they gave me a bunch of Illa stuff and that kind of stuff. So this is my place where I work. If you look way back here, you can see my badges and stuff like that from different attendee events and that kind of stuff. That front one is from the Toyo, that one is from the Continental Tires last year at SEMA. I went to a bunch of different parties. Anyways, got the kiddos. I want to say first shout out, thank you to Mark from Fat Lace along with Ryan from Cake Face for the great apparel. If you haven't got one of their shirts, you should check out either one of those guys. They have great stuff. Ryan is obviously from Seattle, and his stuff is in Zoomies, which is super dope. And I actually got to meet Mark from Fat Lace. I always wanted to meet him. He's a really interesting person. He's very quiet, and it was great to be able to share probably an hour's worth of conversation with him. I happened to do it when I was at Christian's house when Christian was having one of his RWB builds done, and Mark happened to be there. And we stayed after hours and had some conversations. It was super cool. Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and I would do anything to work with him. But just a shout out to those guys. Thanks for the shirt and that kind of stuff. Ryan always seems to come up with shirts and stuff for me, which is super cool. So let's recap what happened last week. We did episode 1. Bingo. But also we went to some shows and did a couple other things. We went down as Stancewars and went down to Big Northwest down at Portland International Raceway. The show was put on by Robert Champion, and I don't remember what the name of his company is. But he also does Big Wicked, and he does the Big Subi meet on the East Coast. He does another one in Colorado as well. I've met him. I've known him for a couple of years now. We help provide some logistic support for him out here in Seattle. They usually use our stage and our sound equipment and that kind of stuff. Nice guy, and we're happy to go out and have a booth. It was really cool. I had hoped to have Lee in our booth, but it didn't quite work out. But we did have Royal. I have a hard time with his name. With his RCF. He was one of our winners. He actually won Stancewars Elite here in Seattle. And really great to have him out in our booth and that kind of stuff. I think Tyler put his car, the Passat, in the booth a little bit later. So that was kind of dope to do that. But we always support shows around us locally. And that's just down in Portland. And we'd love to go down and help out. We actually have a lot of Subaru gear as well. We buy a lot of different Subaru stuff. Because Seattle is about Subarus. There's a lot of Subarus here. So why they went and did that, Pat and Amy and Tyler and Nick went and did that, I couldn't go because I knew I was going to the East Coast. I tried to make it work, but it didn't work. I was also supposed to go to a wedding. Shout out to Kaylee and Dom. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. But I did go down to a show here locally. It was called Cruise the Loop, and the mayor here, the town I live in, he actually used to cruise in the 60s and 70s, and they had a cruise. It's kind of funny because that loop now has big signs that says you can't cruise. Anyways, they came up with the show about cruising. So I actually took my car down. I took the company car down and did the Cruise the Loop. And that was kind of fun. Took my family and that kind of stuff. And then later that night, I did go take a travel. I wanted to go over to the East Coast. I talk about community, and I think you personally have to go to that community if you want to be involved with that community. Don't take that as a dig or something to some of the other companies out there, but I actually want to go and be in that community and see what's going on and see if it makes sense and get people's opinions and that kind of stuff. So I actually hopped a midnight flight, 11:30 flight, out to New Jersey and flew to Newark again. I flew overnight, and shout out to Alaska Air. Thank you very much for the free first-class upgrade. That was very, very nice of you guys. Please give me some miles. I'd really appreciate it. I've probably done 40,000 this year, but I would love a couple more free upgrades. Thank you very much. But I did travel out, and I got to go see Cliff. If you guys don't know Cliff in Import Face Off, he was at ATCO. I'd never been to ATCO, and I've always wanted to actually go out there. So that was really cool to see that place. It's funny when you're on the opposite side of the United States and you hear about these places like Englishtown I went to recently, and ATCO was something I wanted to go to as well. So in the morning, I arrived at New Jersey, and I had a couple hours to kill before week show, Week Fest. So I went down and saw Cliff. Cliff runs a really respectable business. I don't know how the hell he does it, to be honest with you guys. He does 44 shows across America. I don't know how you do that. I can't even fathom that. It probably takes an incredible amount of organization. I've talked with Cliff many, many times. Cliff has helped us a few times with a couple other promoters. He's also helped us hook up a few things, and he's the one that got me interested in thefote.com. That's where our whole ticket source is. Those are things that are influenced by Cliff. He's not a mentor of mine. I wish he was. Cliff, if you see this, please take me under your wing. I would really like to know how you do this. I think I'm doing a good job, but I would love to know more. Anyways, I went down to ATCO. It was really great. Insert a clip right here. Okay, so ATCO was great, and seeing Import Face Off there and see, I don't even know how many cars were probably in the show. Probably by the time I left, which was about 11:30 in the morning, there had to have been at least 150 cars. There's a lot of stereo cars, and there's a few cars that I personally invited to come out to our show. I actually got to talk to a couple different owners that were really great, and I got to see a three-rotor RX-7 on some HREs. The guy was really, really cool. Anyways, then I basically hopped on the 95 Turnpike and powered up to Weekfest in New Jersey. So I have been to this show 3 times now. Probably the first 2 times, no one knew who I was. I went out a couple years ago, and then I went out last year. And sometimes I like to go to things and not necessarily say, hey, Mike's going to this or something like that. I am literally going to see what other people are doing with their events and how it's run and how spaces are. I actually looked into that facility at renting it at one point. I didn't necessarily like it, and there was a couple of reasons why. I didn't like the pillars everywhere, and I also felt like it was in a weird industrial zone where there was nothing else. There was no close by hotels. There was no restaurants. It just felt weird to be there. Also felt like if we were having a show there could be all kinds of bad things that could happen, like trailers getting stolen and that kind of stuff. It was kind of strange. They also wanted a lot of money. I'm actually paying a lot less money for MetLife Field than that place. So jokes on that, I guess. But I did go out to see Weekfest, and I did go in. I did see a lot of people. I did something a little different, and I don't know if it's different for the East Coast or just people don't do that there. Instead of actually just popping flyers in people's cars, I actually went around and you could find the owners. The owners at a car show, they're always sitting behind their car and they have a chair. They're usually sitting there with a red Solo cup or eating a sandwich or something like that. And I went and talked to a lot of owners. And I told them about my car show and what we were doing and really tried to get people involved with it. And I think it worked because immediately when I got back home, I realized how many people had registered just after the last couple of days of talking to them. But I did spend the entire day out there. I talked with one of our head sponsors, Bag Riders. They were out there, and I spent a good portion of time talking with Elite Tuner and those guys. Super great guys. Actually, I went and had dinner with them afterwards. I'm really hoping that to foster more of a relationship with those guys. And talked to a couple other people. There's a couple different companies that are going to be vendors at our show, and that was great. I talked to a couple people that had turned us down to actually be vendors, and I did a little handshaking there, and hopefully they'll see what we do and that kind of thing. So that was cool getting the chance to go back out there, and I pretty much spent most of the entire evening there. I left at about 6:30. I hit a bunch of tickets and stuff. But hey, let me show you where I hit them. I hit a couple other tickets around and that kind of stuff, but I stayed till about 6:30, and they hadn't even started doing awards yet. And I knew Crispy wasn't going to go have dinner with me, so I wanted to get the heck out of there. I was tired. I arrived at 7:30 a.m. East Coast time and didn't sleep on the plane. I tried to, but by 6:30 at night, I was pretty much beat, especially after driving down to Atco and back. I just wanted to go get a big fat steak and go to my hotel, because I needed to go to our hotel and get registered to bring my entire staff out there. In fact, I'm bringing out, I think, about 16 people, so we had to rent a lot of hotel rooms. And I don't necessarily stay close to our venue. This time we're staying relatively close. We're about 8 miles away. We're closer to Newark Airport than anything. And that's where the VIP party will be, in fact. Okay, so what else are we going to talk about? Let's talk about some of the things that happened last week for me as well. I got my BBS RSs back. Let me show you a picture. The great thing about my BBSs is that I had them originally on one of my show cars, and then I loaned them out, and they got a little not perfect. Let's put it that way. So Frank from Shore Polishing over on the East Coast, he had offered me a hell of a deal, and I said, hell yeah. And he did some ceramic polishing. That's where they put them in the bucket, and they shake the shit out of them, and they came back amazing. And then he powder coated the barrels and that kind of stuff. And the cool thing about that, too, is I talked to my rep at Toyo Tires, who's a big sponsor of Stancewars, and they just said that I qualified, and I could actually have a sponsored car if I ran some banners and that kind of stuff. So they actually forwarded me out some tires for those BBS RSs. Thank you very much to Toyo Tires. It's really nice of you guys to be along for the ride for your second year with us. Hopefully you'll continue to be with us. And thank you for sponsoring my personal car with some 15-inch tires. Now, I know a lot of guys are like, 15 inches? It's a classic Rabbit. I'll show you a picture here in just a second. Also while I was out there, one of the cool things that happened is Pass Mag hit the stands. In fact, it is this one right here. And if you're looking in the back... boom! Here's our half-page ad, and I really want to thank those guys for working with us this year, and I'm happy to return the favor by purchasing some ads. I haven't bought ads in a magazine in probably 10 years, probably before I even started Stancewars, working on one of my other projects and that kind of stuff, but this is a great photo. This is from one of our media guys who shot actually out there in Vegas off the top of the Toyo truck. That's why I mentioned this. And Ryan had built this ad for us, and it's super cool to get into a national magazine. But thank you again, Randy and Pass Mag, for working with us this year. When you enter your car into Top 100, we'll hand that information over to Pass Mag, and they'll ask you if you want to be in the Tuner Battlegrounds. And the cool thing about that is you could win a chance to go to SEMA with your car. So that's really important. Also, they usually will do a feature on our winners. In fact, today I was talking with Randy this morning over at IM, and we were talking about the folks who just had recently won Seattle, and we were reaching out with them to do some feature stuff. That's cool. That's one of the great things to work with us about. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the other things that happened. Last week we finished up the Stancewars video contest. Let me pop you over so you can see a couple of these. You can check them out we'll start to put them up on our YouTube channel directly after the contest is completed. My staff will probably pick a winner here this week, and somebody is going to win $1,000. So if you're a media guy and you're interested in coming to New Jersey or Houston, this is how it works. You go up to our website, www.stancewars.com, or you can go to our site on thefote.com/happenstance events, and you register to be a media. In some of the cities it's $5, in some of the other cities it's like 10 or 15, based on how many people come to the show, because a lot of people try and register for media to get a cheap ticket, and that's not how it works. We actually will reject those people. But when you register for media, you have to give out a couple URLs, and we decide whether you're an elite status or you're an associate status. But both of them qualify to be in the contest. And here's how the contest works. You do a video or you do a photo. If you do a video, afterwards you abide by the rules. It's basically got to be a certain size and this and that. And you turn in your video after you're a media person, and then we'll post it on our website and our Facebook. Later we'll put it on our YouTube channel. And we'll get you a shit ton of hits. And at the same time, we'll get you some exposure around that, and that qualifies you for a chance to win $1,000 cash or a trip to one of our shows, including us going to SEMA. No one's asked to go to SEMA this year. Most everybody's taken the cash, but we do have 2 more shows left, and they extend out. So let's say somebody wins from New Jersey, they could go to Houston, or they could come to Seattle, or they could go to SEMA, or something along those lines. Now, if you're just a photographer, here's some other things that we do. So we're looking for some video or some photo content of like the show vibe. The idea is, it might not necessarily be a picture of the cars, but it's a picture of what's going on at the actual show. Each photographer can submit 2 of those. Some of those contests are $50 to $75 cash for that video or for that photo. We also ask for like a vendor booth photo, that kind of stuff, especially for our sponsors because they always love that stuff. And those you can submit to, and at the same time you can win $50 or $75 depending on the city that we're doing the contest for. And then also we're looking for the best flyer photo. And sometimes we use these and sometimes we don't, but we do actually have a contest for that, and we're looking for the best picture to be on one of our flyers or a magazine ad. And so each photographer can turn in 2 of those as well. And right now, if you go up to our Facebook site, you can actually see those. I actually just put up an album last week for those, and you can see. Now, not that many people submitted them, which makes it a whole lot easier for a few people to actually win some cash in their pocket. You know, it's not a lot of money, but if you're a struggling photographer, hey, man, that helps you out and gets you into a couple other shows or something like that. Also, it has a chance to get you kind of pre-qualified to be on our media team because we have a pretty elite media team run by Dylan, and we only allow 20 people countrywide to be actually on our team. And if they don't produce, we actually kick them off, and then we go out and find a couple more. We just recently added 3 more really great ones, people that I've been following for a while, and Dylan got really interested in. So we'll get to meet a couple of those new people out in New Jersey, which is great. And then I think there was a new one that was added in California that hopefully I'll meet in the spring or see him at SEMA. Okay, so what else do we got going on here? Oh, you know, one of the things I posted up last week on my personal page is I posted up the growth maps for Seattle and what we've been doing for Stancewars and that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to get into a pissing contest with any of my people or the people that I'm comparing myself to. I'm trying to see where we're at and what people are like you are looking at and that kind of thing. And we're taking feedback and all that. And last week, you know, we're still sitting right where I thought we would be. We're sitting number 4 on Facebook, and but our engagement rate was incredibly high. In fact, it was actually higher than Elvis's Stance Nation, which is pretty amazing because he's got 1 million followers and I have like 400,000 followers. That means people are really engaging with what we're doing, which is great. I think we have great content, and when you see our content for 2018, because it's all going to be original, it should be really interesting. The other thing, too, is we do it also for Instagram. And on Instagram, I'm following a couple different people, you know, Slammed Enough with Charlene, Tune Revolution with Jay, and Weekfest. And I'd like to see where we're at. And our engagement rate's still pretty high. It's 1.97 last week. It's actually over 2 this week, which is super great. And if you're on Instagram and you know anything about statistics, that's incredibly freaking high. So while we're really, really small on Instagram because we focused on Facebook, and we're doing a good job. And Dylan's mostly responsible for that and the media team. So big shout out to Dylan. Thank you very much for that. He's working continually hard on that. So let's take a second to talk about, I'm looking at my notes over here. I'm looking at my notes, and it says, let's do an update about New Jersey and where we're at. So New Jersey is September 16th at MetLife Field. We've been doing a lot of flyers. In fact, I have about 10,000 flyers left that I need to send off in the next day or two to some of our bigger sponsors and shops and that kind of stuff and clubs over on the East Coast. This morning I created all the badges. I can't show them to you, but I know they don't. No one does this on the East Coast. Frick, I would love to show you some of the past ones, but they're all in the other office, and I'm not going to walk out there right now. But for everybody who comes to our show that buys something, whether you're buying a VIP, I am VIP, or you're buying an informal posse, or you're showing your car either in Top 100 or Select, you're going to get a lanyard, a black lanyard, and you're going to get a badge that's made. We make these by hand, usually the interns, me and my wife, and sometimes my kids pitch in, and we make hundreds, if not thousands, of these for different shows around the way, and they're super cool. And what's great about them is you can keep them afterwards and use them. Let's see, I have some really old ones. Woo! I don't have one for the last couple of years over here, I don't think. No. Okay. So this one is from, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Right here. This is a Stancewars Las Vegas one. It's from 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's 2 years ago because this was March 28th. It's got a backside as well. The cool thing about these for like top 100 guys is, see, it obviously comes with the lanyard, but you know, it also, this is how you get your bag. There's on the new ones today on the back. On the back, it has a little place to stamp for your bag and your T-shirt and that kind of stuff. Those are really, really cool. I wish I had a current one to show you guys, but I do have a few of them around somewhere. Well, I'll just have to put this one back there a little later. But if you enter in our show, you do get that. I think it's a value add. It's super cool. People really like to keep them. In fact, I had a couple people last year keep them in their car, and they just like to put them around their rearview mirror and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. The bags are on order. You also get a goodie bag. I don't even think I have a goodie bag in here. But we basically either do these little strappy backpacks, or we do the grocery bags, and it says Stancewars on it, and usually one of our sponsors. And that's where we throw in a bunch of stuff from somebody like Griots or any of the other people that are coming out who are vendors and sponsors. We'll throw a bunch of different stuff in there. Also, I usually try and go over to Little China or over to Japantown here in Seattle, and I will hit one of the stores, like the dollar stores, and I will go get all kinds of crazy Japanese goodies, eraser figures, and all kinds of weird stuff, and just pop them in the bag, just because it's fun stuff. We also throw in some swag, like some stickers, license plate frames, that kind of stuff, all of our merch, so you don't have to buy it. You actually get it for free before entering your car. So that stuff's going on. Our shirts should arrive just about any time right now. Normally I don't order them so early, but I had to because our shirt guy Ryan is actually going to go on vacation, and it's going to be right in the middle when I would totally need to have him printing. So I kind of pre-ordered a lot of t-shirts. So I hope that you guys are interested in buying some Stancewars shirts, but you also get a lot of shirts. If you are in the top 100 select, you get a shirt for free. If you are in the IMVIP, you get a shirt for free. And then we also make our tour shirts. They look like old rock and roll shirts with their tour dates and stuff on the back. So that's kind of cool if you guys are into those. You can order those when you order your tickets. But also when you order your tickets, there's all kinds of stuff. You can order lanyards and beer cozies and different stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. I'm still working on the map. I've done 2 renditions now. I had the fire marshal look at one. It didn't quite fly. So doing a couple changes there. I'm also moving around some of the bigger vendors to make it a little bit easier for them. It's kind of one of those things. The top 100 needs to be in a certain spot. The select guys need to be in a certain spot, and then VIP parking needs to kind of be around all of that. And so I'm working with some existing pieces that don't quite make it flow as well as I want it to be. I think I have it figured out for this 3rd rendition, but hopefully we'll be releasing that soon. So the last thing I probably need to talk about, where are we at here? Oh, we're getting pretty high. Last thing I need to talk about is registration for Stancewars Top 100. It's pretty easy. You can go to Stancewars.com. There's several different links off that, or thefote.com/happenstanceevents, and you sign up for the Top 100. You fill out a couple things in there. You need to give us 4 photos of your car. If you'd like, shoot us a YouTube video. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You give us some quick statistics about your wheels, some of the, whether air ride or static, what kind of stretcher you're running, what kind of air management you're running, just a couple little pieces there. That's just the stuff that we ask, and it's the stuff that our sponsors are really into finding out about. So it's important for us. A quick note to a lot of people. Sometimes everybody tries to do it on their cell phone, and the biggest problem is you're trying to load a 6 or 8 megabyte photo 4 times over plus your data. It doesn't quite work. So think about that when you're doing that. Also, just because you're loading 4 photos doesn't mean you can't load 16 photos. And how do you do that? Make a 4-way collage. It's pretty simple to make a 4-way collage, so each one of those photos counts as 4 photos. That's really, really important. It actually gets us to see your car a lot more, like under the hood, interior, maybe how you have your air ride set up, that kind of stuff. If you're doing that, it's a great idea. Also, we save those things off. We use them for Instagram and all kinds of different things throughout the year. Sometimes that's how some of the features get done in a couple different magazines or with a couple other websites. So just so you guys know, because somebody will call me up and they're like, hey, I want a Nissan 370Z and I want these wheels on it. I have all that. And I can get the person connected to you. So it's not about necessarily what you're doing for registration today. It's what I can do for you later, possibly as well. Well, I probably got to go. We're a little bit over on time, and I'm trying to do a little bit of mixing on the video. Hopefully it'll work out. We'll see. I'm going to try and improve these. I did have some feedback from our episode 1. I wanted to quickly kind of go over a few things. Yes, we are coming to Texas. It'll be November 18th. That seems like a good slot because it's the week after Simply Clean in Florida, which I'm going to personally attend. Salt City would really like to know when we're going to have a Salt Lake City meet. There's a possibility we could get out to Idaho. ISS has really been asking us to come out, and a few of our friends live out there. It's definitely a possibility at some point in the future. Let's see here. What's another one? Byron666 wants to see more behind-the-scenes stuff. Hey, we'll do our best. He also wants to know when we can come out to Arizona. I actually looked in Phoenix and Scottsdale last year for a space. We haven't found something that would work yet. We're focusing on a couple other cities that I can't necessarily say anything about yet because it's not a done deal. And I don't usually say something that's a done deal. So I think that's about it. But, everybody did they wanted to hear a story. So I wanted to quickly, we're kind of over on time, but you wanted to hear a story. So I'm going to tell you a story about New Jersey and the East Coast. So we've been wanting to come to the New Jersey and the East Coast area for quite a while. We've actually looked at several different places like Pittsburgh. We looked outside Boston. We looked somewhere around Washington, D.C. We looked at several places actually in New York. None of them panned out because it didn't work. And MetLife seemed to fit the bill. I mean, that was kind of cool. We had given a lot of feelers out about it and had talked to a lot of show owners, and some of them were like, don't come. They didn't want us to come, or they were worried about the time schedule they were trying to accomplish, or they didn't understand how we worked and how we try and partner with everybody. We're not just there to try and come to town, make a lot of money, and leave the next day. We actually want to come to everybody's shows and have a good time and, set up tents and merchandise and meet owners and that kind of stuff, just like yourself. Well, anyways, why I was in New Jersey this weekend at WeekFest, had asked me, when did we decide to come to New Jersey? And they seemed to be blown away by the actual answer. And so I'm gonna tell you guys the answer. So this is 2017 right now, and you guys have been seeing a lot of crispy videos from us for many years now, correct? I mean, our videos have over 1 million views on a lot of them. Here's the answer to that question. How long has Crispy been doing videos for us? It's a couple years, right? That's how long we've been planning this. The first step was to engage the audience. And that's when we hired Crispy to come out and film Seattle. That's how long we've been planning this. It's not something we decided to go, tomorrow we're going to do a show over here. No, we've been planning this for a really long time and really trying to get the East Coast and the New York, Jersey, Philly area really interested in us and getting our name out there. And you know how crazy that is when I go to a show, even when I went to IFO and ATCO, people knew who I was. I'm just a guy who puts on car shows. So that's the crazy thing about that, guys, is that, we started working with Crispy years ago to get ready for New Jersey. That's coming up in September. So there's your story for the day. Thank you guys for watching episode 2. Hopefully my mixing is cool. I have no idea because I haven't done it yet. But hopefully you got a little story in there and some updates about some of the other things that are going on and a few great shout-outs. And we'll look for you guys next week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Check out Stancewars.com for everything that's going on, or shop.stancewars.com to get your merchandise if you really like that. I'll try and put a link right here. And also, our show's coming up. New Jersey, MetLife Field, September 16th. I'll try and put a link right here. And also, we're going to be down in Houston to finish the year in November. We'll do SEMA, then we'll fly out to Simply Clean, and then we'll be down in Houston with our entire team. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys have any comments, drop them down below. Also, make sure that you hit, what's the thing I'm trying to think of? You need to basically subscribe. Sorry about that. I'm new to the blog thing. You need to subscribe to our feed, and we'll work on that, and we'll try and bring you guys more content, more crazy stuff as we go. Thanks much.